Now, on to, well, here we go again. I feel like it's a, déjà vu. The Palestine Solidarity Campaign is holding a general march in London today to call for a permanent ceasefire in the Middle East. Activists are marching from Russell Square to Trafalgar Square. We're going to get the latest now with GB News political correspondent Katherine Forster. Katherine, thank you very much for your time. Oh, it sounds very loud there. Is it packed?
Yes, many hundreds of people here. Good afternoon, Darren. There's a helicopter in the sky as well. I hope you can hear me. OK, I've been covering these marches since they first began, which was from the first Saturday following those atrocities committed by Hamas back on October the 7th. Of course, since then, we've seen the desperate situation in Gaza. According to the latest figures, nearly 33,000 people killed. Now, these marches have been happening in London for many Saturdays up and down the country and indeed right across the world. It's already cost the police in the United Kingdom over £32 million. Now, we're here in Russell Square. They're going to move off in the next half hour or so, progress down to Aldwych, take a right and end up in Trafalgar Square at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now, it tends to be very good humour. There's a real mix of people here. If there is any trouble, it's likely to be later. I have to say, the march I was at 3 weeks ago, which ended at the American Embassy, seemed to pass off pretty much without incident. But Trafalgar Square, of course, is a main meeting point in London. And one of the things I've noticed here too is there's a real industry sprung up around these protests. There's all sorts of merchandise, Stop the War, Free Palestine, caps, badges, flags, banners, etc., multi-buys on sweatshirts. Also people campaigning saying, give us money to fund the protest, cash or contactless. So we've all moved with the times, but we will be covering the march from different points along the route all afternoon for you here, Darren, on GB News.
Katherine, I've noticed there you haven't got your GB News microphone with the logo on there. Are you quite nervous at those marches, covering those marches?
We are here, we don't advertise who we're here for, because a couple of months ago, myself, the cameraman and the backwatcher had a lot of abuse. We were basically forced into a corner with a guy shouting on a tannoy that we were fascist and evil. The police are still dealing with that. So we will, of course, let you know when we have an update. But we keep a fairly low profile because not everybody likes us here. Well, that's something of an understatement.
Indeed, yes. So I think, it's all well and good saying they're peaceful and good-natured and all the rest of it, but when we hear reports like that and the calls for intifada and things on our streets, I mean, you can see why people at home, Katherine, get a bit nervous about these scenes.
You can, and of course Suella Braverman labelled these hate marches, didn't she? That's one of the things that she said which ultimately cost her her job as the Home Secretary. And certainly there'll be plenty of people up and down the country thinking that this is not a good use of police resources, and also very uncomfortable about some of the calls that you do hear at these marches, like from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Now, there's lots of people here who just want the war to stop, but quite often when you dig a little bit deeper about why they are here, there's not that much sympathy for the hostages that were taken by Hamas on October the 7th, or indeed for Israel. But of course, these pictures of the atrocities in Gaza are going all around the world. The United Nations are worried about famine. Britain and other countries are dropping aid. And really, until there is a lasting ceasefire, it's difficult to see that these marches are going to end. Now, Israel have said they will go back to talks next week, potentially in Qatar and in Egypt. So we have to hope that something will come of those.
All right, Katherine. Well, I think you're an absolute light to journalism and the best thing to happen to GB News since you came on board. So stay safe there. Katherine Forster there.